Taking the test for the first time in life is a special moment. A little fear, a little hesitation, and a rapid heartbeat are common in the beginning. But this moment teaches us a lesson in hard work, preparation, and self-confidence. I remember when I had to take my first exam in school. I couldn't sleep at night. I was trying to remember everything by opening books, but I was also a little afraid in my heart if I could do everything right. When the morning started, the atmosphere in the classroom was serious. Each child was paying attention to his leaflet, and I tried to calm myself down. Some questions seemed difficult at first, but the lessons learned and the preparation encouraged. When the test ended, the heart felt a strange calm. This moment was not only a test, but also a lesson that with hard work, preparation, and confidence, we can meet any challenge. When he returned home, his mother asked, "How was the test?" I smiled and said, "I was a little scared at first, but it felt good at the end." And the mother said, "Son, this is the true lesson, not to be afraid, but to be courageous and toil." The first exam taught me that not to be afraid of failure or difficulty, but to learn every moment and move forward is the greatest success of life. This moment will always be remembered because it gives us hard work, courage, and listening to my grandmother's stories as a child was one of the most enjoyable moments. Every evening when we sat around Allah, stories came to my grandmother's voice, princesses, fairies, wild animals, and lessons hidden in them. I remember one day, my grandmother told me that a small animal solved the biggest problems with patience and courage. We all laughed, sometimes feared, and finally felt happy that patience and courage are the most important things in life. Our grandmother used to advise us, except in the form of a story. "Son, remember, with love and faithfulness, everything is easy." We laughed and laughed. Grandma's stories were not only fun, but they also taught us the principles of morality, love, and life. Sometimes we would imitate these stories, sometimes get involved in a game with characters, and sometimes just get lost in Grandma's voice. Mom and Dad would come home and listen and be happy that we are all learning from the story. These moments teach us that stories are not only stories, but also life's most beautiful lessons. Today, when I think of my childhood memories, the stories of my grandmother, their voices, and all of us sitting around them brings comfort and joy to the heart. Grandma's stories are not just memories of the past, but still teach us patience, love, and courage today. The most joyful moments were the rainy days of my childhood. The drizzle of the rain, the smell of the soaked earth, and the pleasure of playing with friends rejuvenated the heart. One day it started raining and we all went out, jumping in the water, playing in small pools, and splashing each other in the water. All of these moments filled the heart with joy. Sometimes there was laughter during small games. Sometimes there was enjoyment of getting soaked in water. And sometimes when someone made mischief, they all laughed together. These moments were not just about play, but also about friendship, cooperation, and being happy. When she returned home, she said, "Son, change your clothes immediately. It may be cold." We smiled and said, "Mother, today is the rain." These little moments teach us that moments of joy are never trivial, but rather bring comfort and memories to the heart. The joys of rain were not only for play and fun, but they taught us to feel the small joys of life. This day reminds us that it is not necessary to wait for great opportunities to be happy in life, but even small moments can bring the greatest happiness. Even today, when I remember the rainy days, those friends, those laughter, those moments of soaking soothe and rejoice the heart. The joys of rain are not only childhood memories, but the most beautiful lessons of life. Those childhood moments when we first grab a pencil and learn to write are the most memorable and special. These moments not only mark the beginning of learning, but also provide the first lesson in self-confidence and hard work. I remember picking up the first pencil in my school days was a small challenge. The hands trembled a little. The lines didn't form from the tech, and sometimes the letters were inverted. The teacher smiled and said, "Son, not everything is right in the first attempt. Just work hard." These words encouraged me and I tried again. Every time he writes, his hands are strengthened and the letters gradually become clearer and straighter. When I returned home, my mother saw my first letter and said, "Son, you wrote for the first time." It started, "Keep working." This little word, little line, brought a sea of joy to the heart. Writing with the first pencil teaches us that every new task seems difficult at the beginning, but with hard work and effort we can learn everything. This moment provides not only educational lessons, but also important lessons for life. Every goal can be achieved through patience, hard work, and courage. Today, when I think of old memories, those first pencils, the first lines written, and the praise of the teacher and mother bring joy and peace to the heart. Writing with the first pencil is not just the beginning of learning, but the lesson of the first step to success in life. Memories of the first days of life are always memorable, and the first day of school is one of those moments. The first class, the first chair, and the first words of the teacher all make a special place in the heart. I remember when I went to the first class, my heart was pounding loudly. Everything seemed new and interesting. As I entered the classroom, the colorful boards, the books, the friends I just knew, and the smiling face of the teacher, there was a little embarrassment at first, but as soon as the teacher greeted us and told us the rules of the class, we began to feel at ease. I sat down and started talking to my friends in small sentences. The first lesson, the first count, and the first activity. Every moment was new, and every moment gave me joy and encouragement. At the end of the class, the teacher said, "Every day is a new lesson, and every lesson will teach you something new." These words hit home, and I realized how interesting and enjoyable learning can be. I returned home and told my mother the story of the first day. The mother smiled and said, "Son, you've got a good start. That's the hard work and interest that will carry you forward." These little first day moments teach us that new beginnings are always full of interest and enthusiasm. Even today, when I remember the old days, the moments of the first class, the smile of the friend, and the teacher bring joy and comfort to the heart. The first day of first class is not only the beginning of education, but the first step in a new journey in life. The first sports competition at school always fills the heart with joy and excitement. It's not only an opportunity to play, but also the first lesson in morale, courage, and teamwork. I remember the first game in school days was about to take place, and all of us friends were very excited. The heart was beating loudly, and everyone was ready for their team. During the match, we participated with full effort and enthusiasm. Sometimes the ball got out of hand. Sometimes they got behind in the race. But the spirit of friends was always there. It was the first time I realized that everyone's efforts are important in teamwork, and everyone's role is involved in success. The game ended and our team won. This victory was not only a moment of joy but also the result of trust, hard work, and cooperation. Returning home, she told her mother. The mother said, "Son, this is not just a victory. It is the success of your spirit, effort, and teamwork. This is the real victory." These words stuck in my heart, and I learned that hard work, courage, and cooperation with friends are the most valuable lessons in life. The first game is not just a game in school, but the beginning of the most important lesson in life. It teaches us that with hard work, enthusiasm, and teamwork, we can make every difficult step easier. Writing the first story in life is a special moment because it gives us the first opportunity to create, think, and communicate our words to others. The teacher said, "Everyone has to write their first story today." At first, the heart sank a little because it was a new experience and I didn't know what to write. I picked up the pen and thought, what should I write? The first words were written slowly. Then sentences began to form. And finally, a whole story developed. It was the first moment I realized how exciting and gratifying the process is to put thoughts into words. The teacher read my story and said, "Very well. Your ideas are creative and you did a good job." It gives the heart pleasure and confidence. I returned home and told my mother the story. The mother said, "Son, this is the power of your labor and creation. So keep writing." This moment teaches me that creation always begins with a small step, but it takes us forward in life. Writing the first story is not just an academic activity in school, but the first lesson of creativity, hard work, and self-confidence. Even today, when I think of old memories, that first written story, and the praise of the teacher brings joy and comfort to the heart. The first scientific experience in life is always an exciting and memorable moment. It is not only the beginning of learning, but also the first lesson of observing, thinking, and analyzing. I remember the teacher in the school days saying, "Today we'll do the first experiment." I was a little excited and a little nervous. I was glad to see the various items on the table, but I also wondered, will it be right? The teacher explained step by step how to do the experiment. I paid attention to every step, sorted items, and experimented carefully. When the result came, he was surprised and his heart shook with joy. This moment was not just an experience of science, but it was teaching us how important it is to act correctly, to observe, and to patiently see the results. I returned home and told my mother about the experience. The mother said, "Son, this is the real lesson, to see, understand, and experience. This is the fun of learning." This moment is still in my heart today, and reminds me that learning is not limited to books, but also through action and experience. The first science experiment not only provides educational lessons, but also teaches lessons to understand and solve every new challenge in life. Today, when I think of old memories, those first experiences, teacher guidance, and moments of wonder bring joy and comfort to the heart. The experience of the first art exhibition in life is special and memorable. This moment gives us the opportunity to present our creation to others and builds self-confidence. I remember the teacher at school saying, "Today is your first art exhibition." In the beginning, my heart sank a little because I was wondering what my work would look like and what people would say. I created my paintings, painted them, and paid attention to every detail. On the day of the exhibition, friends and teachers approached and praised. For the first time, my heart swelled with joy, and I felt how happy it was to be recognized for hard work and creativity. During the exhibition, I also saw the creativity of others and learned that everyone has their own style and look. This moment was not only a moment of joy, but it also gives us a lesson in respect, cooperation, and learning. When I returned home, I told my mother that I had participated in my first art exhibition. The mother smiled and said, "Son, this is the real lesson to create, show, and move forward with confidence." This moment still gives the heart comfort and joy, and reminds us that the reward of creation and hard work is always joy and self-confidence. The first art exhibition is not just an activity in school, but the first lesson in self-confidence, creativity, and hard work in life. Even today, when I think of old memories, those colors, those works, and the appreciation of friends and teachers make the heart rejoice. The first school books in life are a special moment. This moment not only marks the beginning of education, but also awakens our curiosity, learning, and passion for knowledge. I remember the first time I met the books in my school days, so my heart was filled with joy and surprise. The smell of books, the coloring pages, and the picture stories, everything seemed new and exciting. The teacher told us that these books would show us a new world, teach us new lessons, and give us the opportunity to learn something new every day. When trying to read the first lesson, sometimes the letters would be forgotten. Sometimes the sentences would seem straight, but every time I worked hard, I would understand everything. We returned home and showed Mom the books for the first time, and we started reading. The mother smiled and said, "Son, This is the moment that matters, making friends. With books and learning something new every day. This moment teaches us that knowledge always begins with a small step. But this step forms the basis for the great journey in life. First, school books not only teach lessons but take us into a world of self-confidence, curiosity, and curiosity. Even today, when I think of old memories, those books, pages, and lessons bring joy and comfort to the heart. The first school books are not just the beginning of education, but the first lesson of love of knowledge and learning in life. The love of a childhood friend is always memorable and touching. This love is not limited to play and laughter, but also gives the first lesson of trust, togetherness, and sincerity. I remember when a friend came to me at school and said, "Let's play together." This little sentence sent a wave of joy through my heart, and for the first time I felt the love and sincerity of a friend. We played after school every day, talked, and shared little secrets, sometimes helping a friend, sometimes seeking help from a friend. All these moments teach us that trust and loyalty are important in a friend's love. One day my friend was sad with me. I encouraged him and tried to laugh. That moment teaches us that the love of a friend lies not only in happiness, but also in giving together in difficult moments. I came back home and told my mother that my friend helped me today. The mother said, "Son, that's the real lesson. The love of a friend and the most valuable lessons of life together." This moment is still in the heart today and reminds us that the love of a friend brings the greatest happiness and comfort in life. The love of a first friend is not only the joy of childhood, but it is the most beautiful lesson of relationships, trust, and sincerity in life. Even today, when I think of old memories, that friend, that laughter, and that love bring joy and comfort to the heart. Losing and winning school for the first time in life are both memorable moments together. These moments teach us the true meaning of courage, endurance, and happiness. I remember one day at school, and I participated. In the beginning, there was enthusiasm and confidence. But during the game, sometimes the win was close. Sometimes we fell behind. For the first time, I felt that losing is also a lesson because it gives us the opportunity to recognize our weaknesses and improve. In the end, our team won, and our hearts swelled with joy. The moment of victory brought peace and confidence to the heart, but also the lessons of losing. This first experience teaches us that both the joy of winning and the lesson of losing are important in life. When I returned home, I told my mother that I had won and lost. The mother said, "Son, winning brings happiness and losing teaches lessons. Both are precious moments of life." These words hit home and I understood that success lies not only in winning, but in every experience. Losing and winning at school for the first time is an important lesson not only in terms of sport, but also in terms of life principles. This moment teaches us that courage, hard work, and courage are never lost, whether we win or lose. Even today, when I think of old memories, those games, those moments, and lessons bring joy and comfort to the heart.